Welcome. So we're ready to download Unreal Engine. I have the Unreal Engine website up here, which is simply unrealengine.com. Now, you only need to enter unrealengine.com. This /ENUS was added there automatically as soon as I hit enter into my web browser. Now, because I'm in the US and my default language is English, we have EN-US. If you're in a different country or your language is different, you may see something else here, but you'll still be on the same website. And we're ready to download the engine. But first, I'm going to bring your attention over to this documentation page. The link will be in the resources for this video. This page outlines the hardware and software specifications for Unreal Engine. Now, you'll want to make sure that your system meets the requirements for Unreal Engine, and this page outlines those requirements. So check those out, make sure that your machine can handle the engine, and then hop on over to unrealengine.com. Now, there is a download button, and you can simply click on it, but right here next to the download button is a little person icon. If you click on that, you'll be prompted either to sign in or sign up to your Epic Games account. Now, you will need an Epic Games account. It's free, and whether we create one here from the web page or from the Epic Games Launcher, which we're about to download, it doesn't really matter. If you don't want to do it here on the page, you can simply download the Epic Games Launcher. Now, if you just click download, we get some download instructions. Now, what you see here may look different as the websites and the software we use typically changes slightly over time as they update things, but the overall process is going to remain the same. We just need to download the Epic installer. So having clicked on download, my downloads folder is now going to have this executable that I can simply double click on to run. As soon as I do that, then we get this pop-up which will guide us through the process. Now, by default, it wants to install the Epic Games Launcher to my C drive, and I'm going to leave it there. Some people have multiple drives. You may have a C drive, and that's your main drive, and you may have other drives, such as a D or E drive, and you may be tempted to install your programs there. Now, in general, I recommend installing your programs to the C drive, your main drive, and that will ensure the smoothest experience for you. And then any temporary files that we create or game projects, those can go on your secondary drive if you like. So go ahead and follow the steps on the Epic Games Launcher setup, and once you're done, you will have the Epic Games Launcher installed, and the next step is to open that. So once you're finished installing the Epic Games Launcher, you'll now have the option to launch the Epic Games Launcher. So if you're on a Windows machine, you can typically use the search bar to find that app. So if I search for Epic Games Launcher, there it is. You can also pin this to your taskbar so it's always on the bar. And of course, you can find this on a Mac by simply going to your Mac's Finder. Either way, run the Epic Games Launcher. You don't have to run as administrator, just simply run the launcher. And just like we saw on the unrealengine.com site, we have to sign in or sign up for an Epic Games account. Now, there are different options you can sign in or sign up with. I typically use an email address. So whichever way you prefer, go ahead and create your Epic Games account. Again, this is free. And sign in here in the Epic Games Launcher. I'll go ahead and minimize my web browser to show you that this is the Epic Games Launcher that we're in now and not a web browser. So I'm going to go ahead and log in. So I'll input my password and sign in. And once you've logged in, your Epic Games Launcher is going to launch up. Now, the Epic Games Launcher has several things that we'll go over, starting at the left. Now, there are three options to the left: Store, Library, and Unreal Engine, and anything else that they may add in the future, but we're only interested in Unreal Engine. So check out the others if you're interested, but make sure that you have Unreal Engine selected here. And at the top, these tabs allow us to switch to different parts of the Epic Games Launcher. You'll probably start off on the News tab, which contains announcements and links to various articles and resources, and even sample game projects. Now, next to News is the Samples tab, And this is all sample game projects that you can download, and you can open these projects up and learn from them. And they often contain assets. And we'll talk more about assets as we go on throughout the course. But these are some pretty nice projects that you can download and see examples of how things work in the engine. Now, the next tab is the Marketplace tab. And this is a really cool tab because this contains a marketplace where you can buy assets and projects. And we have lots of sub-tabs here that we can use to filter the types of content. And the most important one here is the free tab. There are various types of free content. The most exciting, perhaps, is Free for the Month. Free for the Month contains assets and packs that are temporarily free. And I typically like to check out the Free for the Month assets every month as they come out because you can get some really cool free things from that. Now, we'll be talking more about how to download things from the Marketplace and add them to our projects later in the course, but keep in mind that Marketplace is a really nice resource for Unreal Engine developers. The next tab at the top here is Library, and this is the tab that you'll be going to most often. Now, there are several things here that you probably don't see. Under engine versions, I have the engine versions that I have installed onto my machine. And if this is your first time, you won't have anything here. You have to actually install the engine. And we'll do that in just a second. Beneath engine versions, I have my projects. And again, if you haven't created any projects yet, you won't have any here. But the launcher tends to detect where you have projects on your machine and shows a little thumbnail image of those projects, as well as a little number at the bottom right. This is showing me what engine version this project is compatible with. Typically, it's the version that this project was created in. So I have a 5.0 version, and I even have some Unreal Engine 4 versions of projects here. Scrolling down past my projects, there's a vault. And this is where those assets that I've downloaded from the Marketplace are located. Now, some of these are packs that contain multiple assets, and we have options to add them to projects. And we'll get to that process later in the course as well. And as you download asset packs from the Marketplace, you'll start to see your vault filling up. So all the way back up to the top under engine versions, this is where we'll download and install various Unreal Engine versions. Now, before we do that, let's take a look at the bottom left. We have a downloads section here. If you click on that, we get a pop-out, and this shows you things that are currently downloading, such as asset packs or Unreal Engine versions. We also have a settings option, where we can change the default language if we'd like to do that, and we have some preferences. Now, I like to uncheck Run when my computer starts, as I don't want my Epic Games Launcher starting up every time I start my computer. I want to launch it manually, so I have that unchecked. Another notable option is Allow installs while editors are running. If you have Unreal Engine open and you're installing or downloading something, having this checked will allow that to happen in the background. If you don't want that, you can uncheck it. Now, I'm going to click the back arrow and collapse my Downloads tab here. And we're now ready to install Unreal Engine. So installing Unreal Engine is quite simple. You should have a plus icon next to engine versions. And if you click on that, you'll get a new item here. Now, if you accidentally click on it and you don't want this item here, you can close it. We haven't installed anything just yet, but to close it, just hit the X there. And to get it back, hit that plus icon again. Now, the top right shows the Unreal Engine version that we're going to install. And it usually populates with the latest available version. Now, I already have the latest version at the time of this video. It's already installed here. So it's showing me the next highest version that I don't have, but I can always click the drop down and I can select the engine version that I want from among the versions that are available. Now, before we go and install Unreal Engine, I'm just going to show you the drop down next to one of the engine versions I already have installed. If I expand the drop down, we have options. Now, there are more options here than you might see on the little gray tab. That's because this version hasn't been installed yet. So you will get more options, and we'll go over those once we install our engine version. Okay, so we can go ahead and click on install. Now, I'm not going to install this older version as I already have the current latest version 5.3.2. As you're watching this video, that third digit there will likely be a different number, and you might even be on Unreal Engine 5.4 or even a later version by this point. That's okay. You can just download the latest engine version. So that should be the number that's automatically populated here. Now, you might want to pause the video and give this some time to install. Okay, so once your installation has completed, your gray tab will now turn into a blue tab. And you can click the drop-down next to launch, and you have more options here. Now, if this is your only version of the engine, you don't need to set current, as your one and only version will be your current version. You can create a shortcut if you like that. Now, if you click on remove, this will uninstall the engine, which is also a lengthy process. So only click remove if you want to uninstall Unreal Engine. And we don't need to worry about verify for now. Now, click on options, and here under options, there are a number of checkboxes. So we'll just quickly go over those. The first is core components, and notice it says required. And you have to have this checked. In fact, you can't uncheck it. However, we have a number of optional checkboxes, such as starter content. Starter content is basically an asset pack that you can add to new projects as you create them, and it contains some additional things you can work with, so you're not working in a completely empty level in your game project. Templates and feature packs are some additional content, including example levels that have some basic functionality already programmed in, and those can be good starting points for game projects. So I personally like to have these checked. And of course, engine source is going to be checked already. That's all of the source code for the engine, and it's only 314 megabytes, so that doesn't take up very much space. Editor symbols for debugging is something that programmers will typically enable, as that allows for debugging while programming in C++. You don't need that for this course. And then if we scroll down, we see target platforms. These can also take up more space than you may prefer, and you can uncheck these. Just know that these are required if you want to package your game project for the specified platform. For example, if you create a game that you want to package to Android, well, you need the target platforms for Android checked for that. But if you want to save some space and you don't plan on packaging to these platforms, you can uncheck those checkboxes. So that's the options. And typically, if you're in Unreal Engine and you don't see options to add starter content, or you don't see the template example projects that we'll see in a minute when we create our first project, this is where you would go to enable those. And of course, keep in mind that they take up additional storage. So I haven't changed anything. I'm going to go ahead and close the options. And now that we have Unreal Engine installed onto our machine, we're ready to launch the engine and start creating our game projects. And we'll start doing that in the next video. I'll see you soon.